I knew something wasn't right the moment the automatic doors stuttered as I walked into the office building that night. They caught on nothing, hinged halfway open like a mouth surprised mid-sentence, then slid shut behind me more quickly than usual. I almost expected them to bite my coat. Maybe it was just the wind, except there was no wind. Everything was unnaturally still on that side street, the way it gets in the city's dead hours. No cars, no voices, just the faint buzz of the streetlights, leaking through the glass like sour milk. I'm not sure why I agreed to cover the overnight shift for our front desk receptionist. I don't even work reception. But I sent out a plea. Someone had to man the lobby while the security system was getting its monthly maintenance. And apparently, I was the only one who replied. A few extra bucks, they said. All I had to do was sit at the desk from midnight till 6, buzz in the cleaning crew, answer the phone if it rang. Easy. The lobby was all glass and marble, designed to impress during daylight. At night, that much glass just reflects back whatever's inside. I kept catching glimpses of myself in the polished doors and windows, my posture too tense, my hair sticking up from my hood. The building's silence was broken only by the low hum of the vending machines and the fluorescent lights overhead, buzzing sporadically like a wasp trapped in a jar. I settled behind the desk, logged into the company email and tried to get comfortable. The chair squeaked every time I shifted my weight. For a while, I just watched the security cameras on the desktop monitor. 4 angles: glass doors, elevators, empty waiting area, and the long hallway behind the lobby. I told myself I'd make it until sunrise without getting spooked. I even texted my friend about how it felt like the set of a budget horror movie. She sent back a laughing emoji. That helped, for a few minutes. At 12:37, I first noticed the elevator indicator flicker. Just a little blip, a red light glowing for a second, as if the elevator had been called, but no one was there. I stared at the monitor, expecting someone to step out. The doors stayed closed. I waited, counting the seconds. The indicator blinked off. Probably a wiring issue, I thought, making a mental note to mention it in my shift report. Still, I found myself glancing over my shoulder, checking the real elevator behind me. Its metallic doors reflected the empty lobby, warped around my own silhouette. Trying to distract myself, I read through old memos and checked email. Time crawled. The building creaked in odd places, the kind of noises you hear in old pipes and ductwork, except this place was barely 5 years old. Every now and then, a subtle vibration ran through the marble floor, like someone stomping on a level above. But the cleaning crew wasn't scheduled until 2. At 1:19, I heard the distinct sound of footsteps in the hallway behind the lobby. Slow, unhurried, heel to toe. For a moment I was oddly relieved. Maybe the cleaners had come early, or someone else was working late. I craned my neck. The security camera feed showed only the empty corridor, lights flickering. I stood up, suddenly wary, and called out, "Hello? Is someone there?" There was no answer. The footsteps stopped, as if waiting for me to speak again. I walked to the mouth of the hallway, peering down its length. The fluorescent lights overhead flickered in sequence, casting pale yellow pools along the floor. At the far end, the shadows looked thicker than they should have, clinging to the walls. I cleared my throat, louder this time. Silence. My pulse felt uneven, as I forced myself to step past the edge of the desk. Every shift of my weight made the marble echo, reminding me how alone I was, or how alone I was supposed to be. The hallway felt colder than the lobby. A faint draft tickled the base of my neck, though all the vents were shut tight for the night. I listened, breath held, straining for the slightest sound. Nothing. None. Just the relentless buzz of the lights above, one of them stuttering in and out, sending jumpy shadows crawling across the far wall. I scanned the floor, looking for shoe prints or wet streaks, anything that might explain the footsteps. The marble was spotless. I told myself the sound had carried from outside, maybe someone pacing on the sidewalk, but the glass was double-paned and thick. I couldn't even hear the city out there, only my own blood in my ears. I backed away, trying not to turn my back on the darkness pooling at the hallway's far end. For a moment, my reflection caught in the glass door. A double image, faint and smudged. It looked like I was standing beside someone, just out of focus. My skin prickled. I jerked around. No one. Back at the desk, I locked my eyes on the monitors. The elevator indicator was dark. The waiting area sat empty. The hallway camera still showed nothing but gently swaying shadows, like something was moving just out of frame. I forced myself to laugh, shaking out my hands, which felt clammy on the mouse. "Get a grip," I muttered. "It's just nerves." I texted my friend again. "This place is giving me weird vibes," but before I could hit send, the lobby phone rang. The shrill sound shattered the silence, making me fumble the receiver. I pressed it to my ear. "Front desk," I said, forcing my voice steady. There was a pause. Faint static on the line. For a heartbeat, I thought I heard breathing, slow and deliberate, like someone standing far too close. Then the line went dead. I replaced the receiver. Slower than I meant to. My thumb left a smear of sweat on the plastic. I checked the caller ID, just a string of zeros. No extension. I waited, half expecting it to ring again, but the silence closed in, heavier than before. I distracted myself with paperwork, reading each name on the cleaning crew's sign-in sheet, as if it would anchor me in something real. My shoulders ached from hunching. Every few minutes I darted glances at the camera feeds, half hoping something would actually move, just so I'd have a reason for how jittery I'd become. At 1:47, the elevator door slid open on the monitor. Slow, smooth, almost deliberate. No one stepped out. No one got in. The inside light flickered, giving the impression that something was shifting just in the corner, but when I squinted, the car was empty. This time I stood up without thinking, drawn forward. I crossed the lobby, my sneakers squeaking on the marble. The elevator doors stood open, revealing a brushed steel interior, and nothing else. The faint scent of ozone drifted out, sharp and metallic, as if the air inside had been closed up for years, not hours. I peered in, reaching for the call button. It felt slick, with condensation, colder than the air around it. My finger hovered, then dropped away. I stepped back, letting the doors hiss shut. The reflection of the lobby stretched and warped across their polished surface. Returning to the desk, I thought I saw movement in the waiting area on the monitor. A brief shifting of shadows, as though someone had walked from one side to the other. I rewound the feed, frame by frame. Nothing. Just the way the light changed. When the bulbs flickered but my eyes insisted there'd been a shape, tall, too thin, gliding across the dull carpet. I scanned the area with my own eyes, pressing my face close to the glass, and cupping my hands to block the glare. Only the empty chairs and the vending machines, humming louder than before. My breath fogged the glass, leaving a patch of mist that lingered longer than seemed normal. I returned to the monitors, trying to convince myself it was all tricks of light and nerves. I started typing up my report, determined to focus. My fingers kept stumbling over the keys, missing letters. I realized with slow confusion that the hum of the vending machines had stopped. The silence pressed in, thick and total. I looked up, waiting for the compressors to kick back on. They didn't. None. Behind me, the elevator chimed once, sharp, unnatural in the hush. I spun, heart suddenly stuttering. The doors slid open, though I hadn't pressed any buttons. I forced myself to cross the lobby again, every instinct screaming not to go closer. I called out, "Hello? Is someone there?" My voice seemed to vanish into the steel box, swallowed by its walls. I leaned in, meaning to jab the close button and be done with it. The light inside flickered, and for the briefest instant, I saw my own reflection in the mirrored panel. Except it wasn't quite right. My face was pale, mouth open, eyes wide. But behind me, just over my shoulder, a darker shape was smudged into the glass. I whipped around, but the lobby was empty. I staggered out of the elevator's reach, pulse thrumming in my wrists and neck. The doors closed on nothing, the bell chimed again, and the elevator descended to the basement floor. I stared at the floor indicator blinking bone, B2, B3, though the building only had 2 basement levels. I fumbled my phone from my pocket, ready to call someone. Security, the cleaning crew, anyone. No signal. A bright no service icon glared from the top of the screen, even though I'd had full bars earlier. I moved closer to the windows. Still nothing. The city outside was black, as if the glass was painted with darkness. Not even the neon signs across the street shone anymore. The air felt thicker now, heavy with that metallic tang I'd first noticed by the elevator. I tried to control my breathing, taking in slow, shaky lungfuls. There was a faint, rhythmic creak from somewhere above, floorboards bending under careful, measured steps. The janitorial staff was late, I told myself. That's all. But I knew in my bones, that no one else was scheduled to be here yet. Suddenly, the security cameras began to cycle on their own, flicking through angles faster than I could track. My fingers hovered uselessly over the mouse. The images blurred together. The empty lobby, the hallway, the elevator doors now open at basement 3. And, just for a split second, a figure standing motionless at the far end of the dark hallway. Too far for details, but my stomach dropped as I watched it tilt its head, as if it could see me watching. The monitor went black. All the lights in the lobby snapped off, except for a single flickering bulb above the desk. My own reflection loomed huge in the glass doors, warped and ghostly. My mouth moved, but no sound came out. I heard footsteps again, deliberate and slow, moving from the hallway toward the desk. Each step echoed, impossibly loud in the dark. I pressed myself back into the chair, hands gripping the armrests until my knuckles ached. The steps stopped just behind me. I didn't dare turn. A cold breath brushed my ear, carrying